The cold metallic surface of the alien ship gleamed against the pale morning light as it descended over New York City. Juan Park, the Galactic Confederation's senior diplomatic envoy, watched through crystalline view screens with a mixture of superiority and mild curiosity. Humans looked so fragile. Their small frames, their exposed skin, their seemingly chaotic social structures. Everything suggested a species barely capable of surviving their own planetary environment. Juan had processed thousands of intelligence reports, each confirming humanity's apparent technological inferiority. As the diplomatic shuttle landed precisely on the United Nations Plaza, Jeon Kim stood waiting. Her posture was calm, her dark eyes observing the craft with a subtle intensity that would have made Juan uncomfortable if he understood human emotional subtleties. The shuttle's exterior shimmered, its advanced metamaterial hull shifting from metallic silver to a soft, translucent blue. A hissing sound announced the opening of the entrance, and Juan emerged, tall, lean, with skin that appeared more like intricate circuitry than organic tissue. Around them, New York remained surprisingly calm. No panic, no mass hysteria, just professional security personnel and carefully positioned diplomatic representatives. This itself was unexpected. Juan's communication implants translated his native language into perfect English. "Representatives of Earth," he began, his voice carrying a tone of clinical detachment. "The Galactic Confederation has evaluated your species and determined your planetary resources are required for our ongoing expansion." Ji-un did not move. She didn't flinch. Her response was measured, professional. "We appreciate your direct communication. May we discuss the terms of this requirement?" The alien's sensory appendages, thin, almost transparent tendrils extending from his neck, flickered slightly. This was not the response he anticipated. Most species confronted with such a declaration would show fear, anger, or immediate submission. Humans were different. Security teams remained at a careful distance. Military personnel in unmarked tactical gear watched from strategic positions, their movements disciplined, their technology subtly integrated into everyday equipment. Nothing was left to chance. Juan's preliminary scans had suggested humans were divided, competitive, prone to internal conflicts. Yet here they were, presenting a united, calm front that defied every predictive model in the Confederation's extensive databases. "You understand," Juan continued, "that resistance is mathematically improbable. Our technological capabilities exceed your current developmental stage by approximately 743 standard galactic progression units." Ji-un's slight smile was almost imperceptible. "Technological capabilities are interesting metrics, but they don't always determine outcomes." Something in her tone, a mix of respect and quiet confidence, made Juan's sensory tendrils pulse with an unfamiliar sensation. Was this uncertainty? The plaza around them represented human complexity. Advanced communication networks hummed beneath the surface. Satellite systems tracked every moment of this interaction. Multiple backup communication channels existed, invisible to the aliens' primary scanning frequencies. Juan realized in that moment that his initial assessment might require significant recalibration. "We request a comprehensive dialogue," Ji-un said, her hands clasped in front of her, a gesture of openness that seemed simultaneously diplomatic and strategic. The alien envoy's internal systems began processing unprecedented data streams. Humanity was not presenting itself as a victim. They were presenting themselves as potential negotiators. Around them, the city continued its rhythm. Traffic moved. People worked. The world didn't stop. It adapted, observed, prepared. First contact was not a moment of submission. It was the beginning of a complex, unpredictable interaction, and humanity was ready. Juan Park, for the first time in his extensive diplomatic career, felt something remarkably close to respect forming in his advanced neural networks. The research facility buzzed with quiet intensity. Sungmin Lee stood before a massive holographic display, his fingers moving with surgical precision across multiple data streams. Around him, scientists and military strategists worked in perfect synchronization, their movements revealing years of collaborative training. Alien technology fragments lay scattered across specialized analysis tables. Each component was a puzzle, and humans were exceptionally good at solving puzzles. "Break down its communication frequency," Sungmin muttered to a nearby researcher. The woman nodded, her hands already dancing across quantum-encrypted interfaces. Outside, the world remained deceptively calm. News networks reported the diplomatic interactions with a mix of controlled tension and professional neutrality. No panic. No mass hysteria. Just calculated preparation. Juan Park's initial ultimatum had been clear. Earth would surrender its resources and strategic locations to the Galactic Confederation. What the alien envoy didn't understand was human resilience. In a basement laboratory, Dr. Elena Rodriguez discovered something peculiar about the alien communication systems. They were advanced, yes, but they followed predictable mathematical patterns. Patterns could be disrupted. Patterns could be exploited. "Look at this," she called to her team. A holographic representation of alien communication networks expanded, revealing intricate but ultimately vulnerable transmission lines. Military strategists had already begun developing countermeasures. Not just defensive strategies, but adaptive response protocols that could turn potential invasion routes into complex traps. Sungmin's team had discovered that the aliens' technological superiority came with a critical weakness. They relied extensively on centralized control systems. Decentralized human networks could become their greatest challenge. Satellite communications began transmitting encrypted messages across global defense networks. Each message was a thread in a complex, rapidly evolving strategy. Militaries that had once competed now shared real-time intelligence with unprecedented cooperation. The alien ship remained in orbit, its presence a constant reminder of the potential threat. But threats, humans had learned, were opportunities for innovation. Universities worldwide redirected research programs. Advanced quantum computing labs worked on potential communication disruption technologies. Engineering teams developed rapid-response electromagnetic pulse generators that could potentially neutralize alien technological advantages. Sungmin watched the developing strategies with a calm, external demeanor. Internally, his mind raced through countless potential scenarios. Humans had always been adaptable. They transformed challenges into opportunities. The alien communication systems, so advanced yet so predictable, began showing unexpected interruptions. Small, almost microscopic technological interventions created ripples of uncertainty in their supposedly impenetrable networks. Dr. Rodriguez's team had discovered something remarkable. The alien technology, for all its complexity, followed logical patterns, and humans were masters of finding logical vulnerabilities. "We're not just defending," Sungmin explained during a classified briefing. "We're demonstrating that technological superiority doesn't guarantee victory." Global resources mobilized with surprising speed. Technology companies shared research. Military organizations collaborated across traditional boundaries. Scientific institutions pooled knowledge with unprecedented openness. The alien envoy, Juan Park, would soon realize that humanity's strength wasn't in individual technological achievements. It was in their ability to unite, adapt, and transform challenges into opportunities. Sungmin looked at the holographic display. Complex algorithms mapped potential invasion routes, but between those algorithmic lines were human innovations. Unpredictable, creative, resilient. The resistance had begun, not with weapons but with intelligence. Not with fear, but with calculated preparation. Humanity was ready, and the aliens had no idea what was coming. In research facilities, military command centers, and quiet laboratories around the world, humans were transforming a potential invasion into an opportunity for unprecedented collaboration. The real battle would not be fought with traditional weapons. It would be a war of adaptation, innovation, and collective human potential. Sungmin allowed himself a slight smile. The aliens thought they were coming to conquer. The first alien attack wave arrived with calculated precision. Massive energy weapons illuminated the sky, targeting critical infrastructure with mathematical accuracy. but humans had been preparing. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched from a secure underground facility as their first defensive protocols activated. Quantum encrypted systems responded faster than the aliens could predict, redirecting energy signatures and creating complex technological miracles. Electromagnetic pulses rippled across city landscapes. Where alien technology expected predictable responses, human systems created chaos. Networks that seemed vulnerable suddenly became impenetrable labyrinths of redirected signals and adaptive algorithms. Sungmin Lee's team had developed something extraordinary, a technological defense system that learned and adapted in microseconds. Each alien attack provided more data, more understanding, more opportunities to counteract their advanced weaponry. Military satellites transformed from passive observers to active defenders. Communication networks that seemed simple became intricate, defensive webs. The aliens discovered something unexpected. Humans didn't just defend, they counterattacked. Small drones, developed in secret research facilities, began targeting alien technological weak points. These weren't traditional weapons, but intelligent systems that could analyze and exploit technological vulnerabilities in real time. The alien ships, so confident in their superiority, started experiencing unexplained system failures. Communication channels became unreliable. Navigation systems developed sudden, inexplicable glitches. "They're using our own technological principles against us," muttered one alien commander, watching their sophisticated systems fail against seemingly primitive human defenses. Quantum computing centers around the world worked in synchronized harmony. Each attack provided more information, more opportunities to understand and neutralize alien technologies. Universities that once competed now shared research with unprecedented speed. Satellite networks created complex interference patterns. What looked like random technological noise to alien sensors was actually a carefully designed defensive strategy. Humans were transforming their perceived weakness into an unprecedented strength. Energy weapons that should have obliterated entire city blocks suddenly lost power. Navigation systems guiding alien attack formations developed mysterious calibration errors. Communication networks became labyrinths of misdirection. Dr. Rodriguez discovered something remarkable. The alien technology, for all its advanced complexity, followed predictable mathematical patterns. And humans were exceptional at finding and exploiting patterns. "We're not just defending," Sungmin explained during a classified global briefing. "We're demonstrating that technological complexity doesn't guarantee victory." The aliens had expected a quick conquest. Instead, they encountered a species that transformed every technological challenge into an opportunity for innovation. Massive data centers around the world processed information at unprecedented speeds. Each alien attack provided more understanding, more opportunities to develop counter-strategies. What seemed like random technological responses were carefully calculated, defensive maneuvers. Military strategists who once competed now collaborated with scientific researchers. Technology companies shared critical defensive innovations. Universities redirected research programs to understand and neutralize alien technological advantages. The first wave of alien attacks became a critical learning opportunity. Humans didn't just resist. They analyzed, adapted, and transformed potential defeat into an opportunity for technological evolution. Alien commanders watched in growing frustration as their most advanced technological systems became increasingly unreliable. Invasion routes that seemed mathematically perfect suddenly developed inexplicable vulnerabilities. Sungmin's team had created something revolutionary, a defensive system that didn't just respond, but anticipated. Each alien technological approach was met with a complex adaptive counter-strategy that defied traditional understanding of warfare. The sky above cities became a complex battlefield of invisible technological warfare. Energy weapons, communication disruptions, navigation challenges, all became opportunities for human innovation. Humans were demonstrating something profound. Technological superiority was not about individual advancements, but about adaptive intelligence, collaborative innovation, and the ability to transform challenges into opportunities. The technological resistance had begun, and the aliens were just beginning to understand the true complexity of human potential. Park watched the human resistance with growing confusion. Psychological models developed over centuries of galactic conquests were falling apart. Humans didn't respond like any species he had encountered before. Ji-eun Kim stood at the Global Communication Center, her calm demeanor broadcasting a message of unified resistance. Behind her, representatives from nations that had historically been enemies now stood shoulder to shoulder, presenting a united front that defied every alien predictive model. The psychological warfare was subtle, yet devastating. Where the aliens expected fear, they found determination. Where they anticipated surrender, they encountered strategic resistance. Global media transformed into a powerful weapon. News networks didn't spread panic. They communicated calculated resilience. Every broadcast, every interview, every public statement became a carefully crafted message of human potential. Children in schools learned about the invasion, not with terror, but with a curious scientific interest. Workers continued their daily routines. Businesses adapted. Governments collaborated with unprecedented speed. The alien communication systems began detecting something they couldn't understand, a collective human consciousness that transformed individual fear into collective strength. Sung-Min Lee's psychological warfare team developed extraordinary strategies. They didn't just defend. They deliberately sent messages that challenged the aliens' understanding of human motivation. Diplomatic channels became battlegrounds of psychological complexity. Where the aliens expected straightforward negotiations, humans presented multi-layered communication strategies that constantly shifted and adapted. Cultural broadcasting became a weapon. Music, art, literature, all transmitted a message of human resilience. The aliens discovered that human creativity was itself a form of psychological resistance. Global leaders who once competed now spoke with a unified voice. Press conferences became demonstrations of collective human intelligence. Every statement was carefully constructed to demonstrate human adaptability. The alien invasion fleet discovered something unprecedented. Humans didn't break under pressure. They transformed pressure into opportunity. Psychological profiles developed by alien intelligence teams became increasingly nonsensical. Humans didn't follow predictable emotional patterns. They responded with a complexity that defied traditional understanding. Global communication networks transmitted messages of hope, determination, and collective resistance. Social media platforms became battlegrounds of psychological warfare, spreading messages of unity faster than alien communication systems could analyze. Scientific communities worldwide began publicly sharing research about alien technologies. Each revelation was a psychological blow to the invasion strategy. Transparency became a weapon more powerful than any physical defense. Educational institutions adapted their curricula in real time. Students learned about the invasion not with fear, but with scientific curiosity. Young minds became repositories of collective human potential. Park's psychological analysis systems began experiencing critical failures. Humans weren't responding with individual fear, but with a collective consciousness that transformed challenges into opportunities. Cultural diversity became a psychological weapon. The aliens discovered that human differences, which they had seen as a weakness, were actually a source of extraordinary strength and adaptability. Global entertainment industries began producing content that transformed the invasion into a narrative of human resilience. Movies, documentaries, live broadcasts, all became psychological tools of resistance. The aliens had expected a species that would fracture under pressure. Instead, they encountered a global community that became stronger with each challenge. Diplomatic. Negotiations became complex psychological chess matches. Ji-eun Kim and her team presented arguments that constantly shifted, demonstrating a level of psychological complexity the aliens couldn't comprehend. Manufacturing industries rapidly transformed. Production lines. What seemed like economic disruption was actually a sophisticated psychological strategy of collective adaptation. Juan Park realized something profound. Technological superiority meant nothing against a species that could transform challenges into opportunities with such remarkable speed and creativity. The psychological warfare had revealed humanity's true strength, not in individual power, but in collective resilience, adaptive intelligence, and an extraordinary capacity to transform potential defeat into unexpected victory. The aliens were learning a critical lesson. Humans were not a species to be conquered. They were a force to be understood. The final confrontation wasn't a battle. It was a revelation. Juan Park stood before the Galactic Confederation's Supreme Council, his neural pathways displaying a complex narrative that challenged centuries of established understanding. Humanity was not a species to be conquered. They were a phenomenon to be understood. The holographic displays showed something unprecedented. Humans had not just resisted invasion, they had transformed the entire concept of interstellar conflict. Technological innovations developed during the brief conflict had already surpassed multiple galactic civilizations' achievements. Quantum communication systems, adaptive defense, mechanisms, and unprecedented collaborative technologies emerged from what the aliens had considered a primitive, planetary civilization. Ji-Eun Kim's diplomatic presentation became a masterclass in strategic communication. She didn't argue. She demonstrated. Each slide, each explanation revealed layers of human potential that defied traditional galactic understanding. The Confederation's leaders watched in stunned silence. Humans had done something extraordinary. They had turned a potential extinction event into an opportunity for unprecedented growth and understanding. Sungmin Lee's research teams had developed technologies that could revolutionize interstellar travel. What began as defensive strategies became potential pathways for galactic exploration and communication. Global human networks had transformed the invasion into a collective learning experience. Universities, research centers, and technological institutions worked with a synchronization that shocked alien observers. The psychological complexity of human resistance became the most fascinating aspect of the entire conflict. Where other species would have collapsed, humans had adapted, innovated, and ultimately transformed the very nature of potential conflict. Dr. Elena Rodriguez presented scientific findings that challenged everything the Galactic Confederation understood about technological development. Human innovation wasn't linear. It was an explosive, unpredictable force of collective intelligence. Alien communication systems that had once attempted to analyze human behavior now struggled to comprehend the depth of human potential. Humanity wasn't a single species. It was a dynamic, evolving collective consciousness. The invasion had become a catalyst for human unity. Nations that had historically competed now demonstrated a level of collaborative potential that shocked galactic observers. Juan Park's report to the Confederation was unlike anything in their historical records. Humans were not a species to be conquered or controlled. They were a potential galactic partner, with capabilities that defied traditional understanding. Global media transformed the narrative from invasion to opportunity. Every broadcast, every communication became a demonstration of human resilience and adaptive potential. The Galactic Confederation realized something profound. Humanity represented something entirely new in their understanding of intelligent life. Not a civilization to be managed, but a potential that needed to be understood. Diplomatic channels that had begun as potential conflict zones became pathways for unprecedented interstellar communication. Humans had transformed a potential extinction event into an opportunity for galactic dialogue. Scientific communities worldwide celebrated not a victory, but a transformation. The invasion had become a collective learning experience that would reshape human potential for generations. Technological innovations developed during the brief conflict suggested humans could become more than just another galactic civilization. They could be architects of a new understanding of interstellar potential. The final revelation was simple yet profound. Humanity's strength was not in individual power, but in its extraordinary capacity for collective adaptation, innovation, and understanding. Juan Park's neural systems processed something unprecedented: respect. Humans had not just survived. They had demonstrated a potential that challenged everything the Galactic Confederation understood about intelligent life. As the diplomatic discussions continued, one thing became clear. This was not an end. This was a beginning. Humanity was ready to step onto the galactic stage. Not as a conquered species, but as potential partners in an extraordinary journey of discovery.